This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode contains spoilers from the Wren and the Holly Library with mentions of Shadowhunters, I Am That Legend, Doctor Who, and Five Broken Blades. For full list, please see show notes. There's also mention of sexual abuse and domestic violence.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the fantasy, literature, and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing The Wren in the Holly Library by K.A. Linde.
Which we were fortunate enough to receive a physical copy of this book from Red Towers and Entangled and the whole team over there. So we really appreciate it. And then in true Laura fashion, she's read this a couple times since we received it. So then you also had the opportunity to purchase it on Audible. So you've read this multiple ways right now.
I have. I've read this multiple ways, up, down, back, forth. I am very familiar with this story. I am, however, if you can't tell, I am riddled currently with COVID.
In 2024. We're recording this in 2024.
In 2024, I am riddled with COVID, and it is terrible, and I cannot breathe. So our very lovely Jessica Marie is going to take point on this, and she is going to guide us through the lovely story of the Wren in the Holly Library, which, if you had asked either Jessica Marie or I, we would have said any number of titles.
It's an us thing. This is
us
not
thing.
on the author.
1,000% us.
This is just I've been traveling. Laura has COVID. She has COVID fog. Even when we were logging into how we set up our episodes when we record, gave it a completely different, again, us thing, not on the author. Very much like how so many of us could not get the Tortured Poets Department title down right away when that was released. But we got there, and we will get there with this one, with the Wren in the Holly Library. And I think it's, we could kick it off by saying we have two main characters. We have Kiers, who is our FMC, and we have Graves, who we find out is a warlock, and he's our male main character. Obviously, we have some other, I don't want to say key characters, but there's a lot of side characters that come in and out. You have a found family that Kiers refers to with Ethan and Jen, who they play more of a role later in the book and also kind of drive the initial part of the I wouldn't say plot, but our two key characters who contribute to the decisions that Kiers makes, because this is her found family. She does not have any blood relatives to her knowledge, to our knowledge as the reader at this point. And it really kicks off with chapter 1. Kiers is a thief, and she breaks into Graves' manor on the Upper West Side, which we love. This book takes place in New York. And Laura, does this follow the pattern? Because this was something that I was trying to work through initially when I did my point. I did a full read, and then I started rereading and got about halfway through, and I was like, where is this?
Excellent question, Jess. Excellent question. Yes, this does follow the pattern. I would say, me personally, that the pattern is satisfied in chapter 1, but I think it's really everybody's kind of involved by chapter 5, so that kind of really solidifies the pattern. But in our Holly Library, before I get into the pattern, I've got to say something. I've got to say something.
Tell us.
I'm not a smart person, as we all know.
No, you are the smartest person I know. Don't put that out there. You are one of the smartest people I know.
I will confess to everyone that I would not be able to just eyeball Holly
as the plant. The Holly the plant.
as our plan, because Kiers, our main character, she's scoping out this house that she's gonna rob in chapter 1. You know, snow's falling in New York City. She's gonna steal a diamond ring, and she's like, "Oh, there's holly bushes out front." What?
And it's not Christmas time yet. Like, the eventual heist takes place during the winter solstice, but the timing of the initial thievery is not during Christmas.
I was like, I wouldn't know what that is. And then when she goes into the Holly library, she walks in the library. She's like, aptly named. I'm like, what? What? I personally would not recognize Holly outside of a Christmas context. So it was interesting to me that in this dystopian New York monsters not magic situation, our main character is just like, yo, look at all this holly.
That's also like an interesting thing to point out, because I don't think, no matter where I am, I recognize a lot of vegetation. And maybe this goes to the attention to detail that Kiers has to have as
a thief.
Yeah, as a thief. Like, all, you know, always keep your head on a swivel, yes, but her more so, because this is how she survives and is a key part to her existing in a dystopian New York post-economic crash and wars amongst monsters in general. I mean, we have vampires and werewolves and wraiths and warlocks now and druids. But we find out that magic is involved, and Kiers draws the line at magic. She's like, I will believe all of these other things, but magic? No, fuck that.
Which, Jess, you keep saying, which is so funny, I think is a kind of survival tactic, because 10 years of monster war, right? And they've only had peace for 3 years. And in that 10 years of monster war, it was like, wow, everything is being completely like turned on its head. But like, I can just be like, okay, monsters though. And there's these hospitals and like, there's like scientific reasons for monsters. Like, I can understand monsters.
Oh.
Like, monsters is a thing that yeah, I'm going to panic, but there's like a science part of it. There's like a familiarity with it. There's like a physicality to it. So like I can comfort myself in monsters. And so like, and it goes to when Kiers is like, I don't fucking believe in magic, guy. Fucking show me. And then the box starts sprouting coins. She drops it and she's like scared and is like, oh my God, like, oh my God, oh my God.
Because even when you have, like, you flash forward, and this really isn't a spoiler, but, like, we're working with different doctors, and they're splicing, like, the genetic, like, genome sequences. They're like, we're isolating different genes, and this is what this gene looks like, and here's this gene X that we don't know, and that's you, and we're trying to, like, from a genetic standpoint. Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I can see, like, explaining that. I was like, okay, I can see that.
And so I do feel like that's kind of why everyone in this world is like, that is their thing that they cling to. Like, no, like, it's this. It's
Science.
this. Yeah, like, it's this. They told us it was this. It's this. It can't be this other thing. It's too much. You know what I mean? It's like, it's too much.
Well, this goes to the conversation we were having, not on this book earlier this week, but we were talking about world religions, actually. And you were like, there is this thing that happened and it is common across every religion, and there needs to be an explanation of it. So each religion created their own version of explaining this thing that happened.
Yes, exactly that. So I do find this world building that happens to be really interesting. And to circle back to the pattern, I was like, ooh, pattern is right here when, and of course back to the Holly Library, when Kiers breaks into the house and, you know, she's got Ethan on the radio and she sees the Holly Library sign on the door. and it like tickles her brain. And she's like, is that a weird language? What is that? I don't know. I'm never going to bring it up again and just going to keep going. I was like, okay, well, that's clearly something.
Well, doesn't she also refer to it as like word marks later? I was like, you know.
You're like, then, you know, also like the ring and the fingernail, like that is, you know, that's all. What is it? It's the paperwork, the coin, the fingernail, and the ring in the box. Like, I'm sure all of that's going to be important later. And then, of course, Kiers herself is wearing a Wren necklace. So all of that is plot, pretty much. If you pull it out and like look at it, it's the whole plot. But then Graves comes in and he just like encircles everything, and that is the whole plot. Because Graves, our boy, knows something is off from here, this moment.
Well, this is the moment because, and we find out pretty early on, like in those first 5-6 chapters, is she's like, he goes, how did you get in here? She's like, bro, your security system sucks because I evaded the whole thing. And he goes, you lie, because I made the security system. I am the security system. My magic creates wards, and you bypassed all of them. So what are you? Who are you? And how did we get here? And she's like, I'm just a girl. You need to back off. And it kind of kicks off the story. It kicks off the plot. It kicks off the conversation of them trying to figure out, well, you're here for this person. Also, at this point in the book, Kiers kind of doesn't have anything left to lose. And she understands, you know, we're after the monster war. There are certain laws and agreements in place. And her breaking in, her as a human, breaking into a monster manor is and stealing from said monster is bypassing a lot of things. Granted, she didn't know who she was stealing from. She was, you know, a thief for hire. She was asked to retrieve an item, and, you know, things are rough. There's an economic collapse. The rich are the richest of the rich. The poor are the poorest of the poor. Sound relatable, I'm sure, for so many right now. And there is no middle class. So Kiers is doing what she has to survive. And the person that hired her, they just said, get this item from this place, bring it back, you'll get your payday. And so that's what she does. And Graves, our MMC, he catches her in the middle of that. And he goes, who hired you? Who is this? Who's sending you? And she just spills, because at this point she knows I'm fucked because I didn't know he was a monster. And Graves makes an agreement with her. He goes, tell you what, here's the thing you stole. Go back to your person, but I'm going to hire you and you're going to work for me. Because he already knows something's up with her. He doesn't know who or what she is, but he knows that she was able to bypass all of these magical wards, which some of the things that he needs to procure will have magical wards protecting them as well.
And there's also little dialogue that we have, which is like so fun. Just like Kiers' observations that don't seem important, but are on a read through. She's like, I don't know. I'm drawn to him. It's like to like, power to power. It's like, okay.
I feel, and then like, even when she talks about like, oh, I feel so warm around him. I feel heated. Like, yeah, there's some spicy scenes in this book, but it's not all about spice. It's about that pull that you always read in, you know, in fantasy books. There's something there. I don't know what it is, but it feels gravitational and it feels bigger than I know how to explain.
And then Graves takes his gloves off and he like puts them on Kiers, and he's like trying to do something, and she's looking at him like, bro, sup, my guy, what are you doing? And he's like, oh my God, what the hell? Like, okay, what? All right. Which is really nice because he's a little flustered by that. And then we also get little throwaway lines like beasts and beauties, and all the stories are true. Just little things like that kind of solidify the Beauty and the Beast element here for me. It's like pretty heavy, which I like. There's also the test box that I alluded to earlier with the coins that happens to prove magic. But Kiers looks at that box and she has that language tickle again. So it was like, you know, all of this is like so early. You're like, oh, all right, okay, here we are.
And I feel like even if not a read through, it is, if you're familiar with fantasy, you read it and you're like, oh, that's something.
Yep.
Oh, that's something, without trying to feel like you have to solve a problem. You're just like, that's going to be something, continue on. Because I know we've had that conversation of sometimes we ourselves have gotten stuck in that chapter 5 pattern that we've put ourselves in. And we're like, no, carry on. And you can do that with this book, which is really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, because right after she has to like sign the black book, she's like, what's this going to do to me? He's like, probably nothing, and nothing happens. And she learns later it like binds you to his like magical contract. And she's like, he just told me not to tell his secrets. It's like really cute. I really like it.
Well, and also I feel like it was a test for her because only 2 other people have signed it before her. And he doesn't know what their magical relationship is because she's like, am I something new? And then, you know, it's the ominous or something very, very,
very old. I was like, ba ba ba.
I know, you hear this sound, you hear your like sound effect button right here.
Yep. I do like how Graves kind of like cajoles Kiers into the contract with him though. He's like, you enjoy the chase. Well, you probably could never get this thing. It's surrounded by all these things. It's guarded.
You couldn't do it. And she was like, shit, he played me like a
me.
fiddle.
He got me. He got me. And of course, she's like, yeah, no, okay, fine. But I gotta get my shit in order, my guy. He's like, all right. And he like chucks the ring that she was gonna steal over to her, and he's like, boop, buckets, I'll see you tomorrow.
It felt very like, here's looking at you, kid.
Buckets. She's just like, okay. And she's like, oh my God, this big ring. So, you know, that's all fun. We have logistics. Logistics coming up. But we have our Wraith exchange. This is chapter 5. This is why I'm bringing it up. We have the Wraith exchange with the ring. So Kiers goes to Abernash, and Abernash is like, I'd be careful if I were you. And that is, he has sold out her to Lorcan at this point. So that is the rest of the plot there. So it's all kind of very nicely pattern-esque, which I really liked. I also like this world building of cell phones are too expensive for most people to have.
Which is,
I like
so I really do like the world building. I feel like I saw, you know, Laura, I know you don't go into the Goodreads reviews so much, and I always just like hearing what people say. Whoa, they were polarizing. But I feel like this felt, you know, I think some of the comments were like they didn't know where this took place, or when this took place. And it felt very dystopian, like current New York / future New York, you know, almost like desolate, but kind of like how like New York was in the 80s, but also very futuristic, a keen I Am Legend, because you had the technology, but the accessibility for the technology was very much between the classes. And just like there's a line that they say, like, because it's the monster war, it was like monsters were with monsters and humans were with humans. Unless you were the elite of both, then there's like the classism that goes on there. And, you know, there was a comment like everybody has, you know, everybody has a price, you know, and it was just, you see that. I mean, Graves, you find out, she's like, oh, he must be like 100 years old. Turns out he's like more than 500 years old. But like, it's the running joke also. Like, if you're a vampire, can you imagine being a poor vampire? You've had hundreds of years to get this down right.
You have to be like really bad at your job to be a poor vampire. Like, it cannot possibly be that hard, especially if you can compel people.
Right?
Stop. You're a bad vampire.
You're a
don't deserve it.
I would ethics out the window. Let's get this. Let's get this money.
I'm dead. Why do I need to have ethics? Where am I gonna go? I'm already here. I'm dead. Like, that's okay. We can't get into vampire ethics. We'll We'll never get back here.
But we have vampires in here. King Louis, who is a moniker off of King Louis XIV.
You know, you gotta love Versailles. Just tell us about Ethan, because we're up to Ethan, meeting Ethan with our burner phones.
Yeah, so we have Ethan, who is part of Kiers's found family. He's the one who, like, his parents came from the Philippines, I believe. And Ethan's just like her best, like one of her best friends. And he has a boyfriend, and they're all like very found family, along with Jen, who this is kind of her found family that has been created after Kiers has escaped. I kind of want to say a pimp of some sorts, but like she wasn't an escort. He kind of just would give her the assignments and there's like a lot of domestic abuse, a lot of sexual assault that he put her through. To complete, you know, and it was all for her good and all for her learnings. But it was really all to benefit him. And she eventually got away from this abusive relationship, you know, professional, personal, and all of the sense, because he kind of left her for dead in an alley. Jen found her, and Jen brought her to her mom, and her mom is like head madam at this brothel on the Lower East Side. So
where exactly
on Delancey.
There you go.
And so, which I also hate. Like, it's funny because the logistics in this book are correct in regarding like what lines she's taking, but sometimes some of the reasoning, I'm like, ooh, maybe that's not effective now, but maybe it is in Monster New York. The dread that our author would explain about having to take the one to Midtown to get to Times Square, I was like, ooh, that's real. And every time Kiers is like, these fucking tourists that they're flocking here. For real, still are. Present day New York, past New York, future New York. It's all hellhole when it comes to taking the one to Times Square. I really was giddy in those moments. But so they're at a brothel. They kind of stay at the brothel in Delancey. She pays her dues. Her mom tries to be like, I don't care about you, but like it's her daughter's best friend. She's grown a fondness to her. And I feel like this is another part where things move really quick. We have an attack from the druids. Everybody has to escape. You kind of split up. And they're trying to find some sort of sanctuary or safe haven and figuring out next steps. And is this the part? No, this isn't the part where Kiers goes back to Graves. For safety.
No, they go to 5 points.
Oh, 5 points. We see where we meet Nick, Nate, her bestie werewolf friend, who they were like really close. They have a flirty relationship, but he's like he's in another relationship with the doctor, who's it's like an in-house doctor. And 5 points. A lot of the monsters operate kind of like their own mafia. I think that's like the easiest equivalent. So she's like, there's an in-house doctor, they're taking care of them, and Kiers is like, look, here's the thing. I think there's this opportunity with Graves, but can you and like your mafia, your werewolf mafia, use this as a safe haven for Ethan and Jen? And he's like, you're not coming back, are you? And she's like, I don't know if I will or if I won't, but I want to make sure that they and like y'all who are taking care of her are set up if I don't. So, and part of the reason that she's also able to kind of negotiate all of this is because Graves has set up this, hey, I need you as my thief for hire. And Kiers had negotiated herself, this will cost you $10 million. And he goes, no, $3 million. And she goes, I know my worth. There's a reason you're asking me. And there's a reason I'm the only one who's able to do whatever you want me to do and bypass. So he's like, fine. $5 million now and $5 million when the job is complete. So now she is a thief with $5 million in very dystopian New York with an economic collapse that she's able to set people up. She's able to work with Nate and say, look, take care of them. Let's get some burners because I'm not even supposed to be in contact with anybody. And she makes her way to set up shop, go back and talk to Graves and see how they can work together. What's the skill set she needs to practice on? Where are, our magical training montages come into play? And he's strictly like, you have to cut them off because they are going to be your weak link. Because if somebody finds that out, they're going to use it against you and everything goes to shit.
There are a lot of plots in this book. I can think of at least 4 off the top of my head. One of them is really truly introduced now in the interlude with Declan and Cormac, where they're like, yo, you let her get away. Oh my God. And we have this memory of, he delivered Irish wildflowers to Graves' house and he ran. He was very scary. And these 2 henchmen have to go to Lorcan and say, like, we lost them. She had no idea who we were. And Lorcan has to be like, well, if you want something done right.
It's so true.
You just gotta do it your damn self. I just see him like getting up from behind his desk. Surrounded by idiots, like one of these.
And the audio, the narrator is so lovely. She gives them an accent, like, because it's, where because the author says in, like, I don't even want to say the prologue, it's before the book at all. It's, she was on a vacation in Ireland and she pulled a lot from, Celtic and Irish mythology. And so the narrator gives Lorcan an Irish lilt, if you will.
Yeah. It is very, very nice. We're up to part 2. Part 2, the Wren. We're taking the subway to 6th and 14th to Uptown. Jess, how do you like that?
I mean, I like any time where, I love Lorcan's apartment, his brownstone on the Upper West Side. We love that. I feel like Upper West Side and Upper East Side, no matter the time, there's a timestamp in history. You're always going to appreciate it. Yeah, I was fine with that. Like, again, I liked when she was like, I'm taking the F to 57th. And I was like, oh, I had to take the F to 57th a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was a couple months ago because then, Biden was in town. So they like literally shut down 6th. And I was like, well, subway's fastest way to go to anywhere when it's gridlocked. So yeah, I appreciated the logistics because I felt like I'm going on 57th. I'm going on the F. I'm taking the 1. I hate taking the 1. I took the Q today.
I want this cinnamon babka. I want this cinnamon babka so bad.
I want to know if there's a cinnamon babka place across from the Met now.
Yeah, desperate to know. Desperate to try it. Must try it. We are introduced to the Men of Valor concept. This kind of political movement in the Monsters, where basically it's kill all humans. Good for them.
Why not? Did you think of the Men of Honor? Not the Men of Honor. Who now I'm thinking of the Men of Letters.
Oh, the Men of Letters.
Men of anything. I'm always like supernatural.
Supernatural. No, I didn't, because I think of supernatural and I think warm, fuzzy feelings, and I was reading the description of Men of Valor and I was like, ooh, boo.
Yeah.
Ooh, boo. So no, but I did like the Met and the Coraline statue. We like this. You
could like see it.
Yeah, you can absolutely see it. And then going back to Graves's house, I like the dragon knocker and our introduction to his British staff. Again, the food has flavor here that isn't like they say it's like not magic. They're just like very, very good cooks. But I think that's really lovely because food is healing and all of that stuff. I say that as a COVID queen with no appetite. Food is healing and lovely. I'm telling myself.
Well, I like the little, I don't want to say banter, but like the one-liners that Kiers will be like, she's like, yeah, they've been under my employ for so long. I pay them really well to like cook cook for me. And she's like, and keep your secrets. And like, you can tell his staff are like, we're going to like her. She's so fun. We haven't had fun around here in so long.
It's like, ooh, fun.
We got someone spicy.
We got a spicy one.
He said someone's going to give Graves a run for his money. Like, you could tell they're excited.
And they are very nice too. Like the staff is just like very nice people. So that was, of course, we like tea. We're British. It's good. But Kiers is staying at Graves' house because she has to learn to steal a spear, and she's going to read books, and she's going to train, and she's going to do it, and she's going to have a cell phone, and she's not going to see her friends. And you are delicate like a bomb. I love that.
I love that line.
That was a good line. There's no one like you. And I think, Kiers, that you can nullify magic. And I was like, ooh, all right. Because now we're cooking. Now we're really like, okay. So that's what that was. Okay.
Yeah, and then like the more she divulges about like her past experiences, she's like, oh yeah, this one time when she basically caught COVID, she's like, I don't know, I was just so drained and I haven't. And then they start like kind of putting things together that when she had COVID was the same experience as when she was like siphoning magic. I know. Like siphoning magic and nullifying magic, and how exhausting it was to her because unbeknownst to her, and here's the thing that we come to find out in this book, if you have magic and it manifests a certain way and you don't know how to handle it or you don't have the right training, it can kill you. So they're thinking maybe this magic could have killed her, but because of her ability to nullify it in a way, perhaps that, or absorb it, maybe it kind of reacted a different way than she is familiar with.
Which is all interesting. Jess, here's something that I found very interesting. When Kiers goes to sleep and she wakes up the next morning and goes to the library, she showers and shaves. Little detail.
I liked when they groomed her. It reminded me of Cricket with a K when they groomed her all at once, and we were just like, she didn't have to worry about it. She's like, oh. And I mean, coming from somebody who has been struggling, she's also going through like, oh, that I can eat. I don't have to know where my next meal is. I know where I can sleep. It's all very unfamiliar for her.
Mm-hmm. And then she meets Anne Boleyn, our cat, and we are given a book to read about a wisp. Okay. And then we have our whole dining room scene.
The dining room scene is basically Graves is trying to educate Kiers in understanding more about herself, monsters, kind of magical origins, and seeing if his assumptions of what he thinks she is are veering in that direction. So he's like asking her about her necklace, like the Wren, like it's very symbolic. Have you always had it with you? Tell me more about your parents. Here's the symbolism with the Wren. And we find out that the Wren is kind of like a symbolism of spring and rebirth and hope. And it typically coincides with winter and the winter solstice and Christmas, because that is the end of one season as we segue into a spring season. So Kiers is very she thrives off of knowledge. She loves to eat it up. And she's also in an environment, a safe space that she could just like relax and breathe. She knows she has 5 million. She knows she has 5 million coming. She knows that whatever is, she might have bypassed the wards, but nobody else can. And Graves is like also kind of pulling his hair out because every time Kiers comes in and out of that place, it's proving once again that she's bypassing all of his wards that he knows for damn sure are there.
Yeah, because he's powering them himself, so he knows that they're working. He's just like, God damn it, I can't read her. I have no idea what she's thinking.
And that's okay. Perfect segue, because it's like that's his power. That's one of the things that we're finding out with like monsters with magic, they have different abilities. Some people, like Kiers, we're finding out, like, she nullifies magic, she absorbs, and he can read people. So flashback to when they were first introduced, he's trying to read her, and that's also like, I can't get my pulse on you. And it's also kind of nice because his mind is silenced around her. He's not overthinking and overwhelmed by whatever emotion she's feeling. But at this point, they're also going through their different training montages, and he's like, we might have to go to this party I'm invited to. We can do, it's like the fake dating trope, but it's more like S&M in a way, because he's like, you're going to be my pet. And she's just supposed to be very subservient to him. And basically it's a trial run for her having to take the sword. But the item that she needs to procure at this party is also kind of necessary to Graves. And this is where we get introduced to like his former flames and learn about their powers, and that they're kind of running like a drug dispensary of sorts operation. So, he gets they both say like, all right, round one, trial and error, let's play.
Yeah. And I like the world building here too, where they have to get to this party on an airplane. And Kiers is all freaked out about it. She's like, oh my gosh, it's in Chicago. Like, I've never been on an airplane. And he's like, you've never been on a plane like before? She's like, no, like, come on. No. But I like the world building. I also like that she likes berries. That's like a fun little detail about Kiers. And I'm wondering if I'm just wondering. But I'm bringing up the airplane because it is in the airplane where she is given the book, The Oak and the Holly King. It's like, oh, we're very close to the title of the damn book. I mean, that's, and he says, like, this is the best story of Wren's in this, but she isn't like really able to read it there. But yeah, no, this party is like very kind of covert, sinister. Like, we're running a little test mission, but there are the wish powder everywhere. And I like the very clear, very like specific lines that the author gave us for the wish powder, where Kiers was like, that sounds like that could go wrong so quickly. And Graves is like, there are like the strictest rules in place so that like nobody gets taken advantage of. Everybody is like this. Everybody's consenting. You have to like, it's like this whole thing.
I liked that. So like, it was very, because those are sometimes questions that we as readers have, like, I don't know, this can go wrong. And to know it's like there's a code amongst monsters as well, I think, because keep in mind, like, they're both like, and one of the doctors says this, they go, there's good people and bad people, and there's going to be good monsters and bad, like, it is not this black and white situation. There's this spectrum of people, like, you, and each party has been diluted against each other because of the wars.
This party, I bet though, was fun as fuck.
Fucking awesome. We like
yeah.
She's like walking in on people having orgies, like people are conversing. It is very Gatsby meets
Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh, I don't know that.
Stanley Kubrick. Eyes Wide Shut.
Okay.
Is this exactly. Shout out if you are familiar with my favorite Christmas movie, Eyes Wide Shut. So I think that it is very fun here that Graves is like, what are you? Are you a siren to lure me? He says that a couple times.
He says it, and it's like, I don't know, like, whatever was getting pumped in the air at this party, it was like, they've always had like an attraction to each other, but they went fairly into like fairly drawn to each other. Whatever they in the air, it was this thing. And we know that Emmeline, the girl, Emile, she, part of her power is kind of like, if you're very passionate about something and sensual, her power kind of amplifies that. And she is putting that in this red wish powder, because there's two types of powder. One kind of gotten banned and the other was, okay, like this one's, we'll vouch for this one. And there was a white one and a red one. One of them was vouched for. And Kiers also finds out, well, the banned one is still getting made. So, and she gets a dose of it.
Yeah. All she has to do is steal these letters, and she does. She steals these letters, but she gets dosed with this. She says it's white smoke blows out of the vault. And in the vault was money, gold, water, seeds, and letters. Very fun, interesting stuff. She hallucinates the fuck out of everything after this, and Graves ends up saving Kiers, and she ends up puking her guts out in the plane. And he's like, let's go home. And she's like, it's not home. And Graves is like, it could be.
Fade away.
Fade away. Fade away. Fade
And
away.
she does. And she fades away. She passes the fuck out and is passed out for what, 3 days?
Yeah, it's a significant number. And then we have our interlude with the discovery that the letters are gone and being like, rah!
The interludes are kind of fun.
Yeah, they were fun, especially this one, because it just kind of tells like, oh, Graves, you were fucking both of them, you messy person. You messy king of winter. Like, huh. Good
But
for
I
you.
well, which is so funny because she's like, Kiers, when she first meets him, she's like, they're gorgeous. And he goes, she's like, they? And she goes, hello, eyes? Can't you tell? Like, they're stunning. And I feel like there was a moment where he was either like, okay, we're two peas in the pod because they both are really attracted. Like, she gets it. Or a part of me was also like, he's going to try a 4-way. Because that's the pre-lead up to be like, okay. And then you find out like their background and he goes, you're like, oh, that ended very bad. That is definitely not going to be a 4-way.
Definitely not. It ended up so messy. So yeah, no, I'm going to call her Wren. Kiers wakes up. She's sick. She's puking. She's recovering. We're training. We are getting the lore dump of what is actually going on with the Wren, Holly King, Oak King situation. I wrote it down. So Graves starts telling Kiers about like what's going on, like this story. So the Oak King, our Oak King is spring and summer. He is sunlight and joy. His symbol is the robin. He's a hero. The Holly King is fear, dark, winter, the elusive dark god, and his symbol is the wren. Twice a year on the solstices, they battle. When Holly loses, it's spring, and when Oak loses, it's fall. And then all of the answers that Kier is looking for is like wrapped up in all these fairy tales. So I do think it's funny that this man is not like truth bound. It's not like he can't just like say what's going on. He's like, read all these books and infer what's happening.
Yeah, that is maybe because the way this book ends, you like it's set up to have another book. I'm just like, why didn't you tell her?
Yeah, like from the get go.
Like,
we're gonna steal the spear.
need...
It's mine. I'm the king.
And there's no like, you need to do this, you know, out of the kindness of your heart because he's paying her.
Yeah.
Like, and there was nothing. Yeah, I am curious about that. Or is it like you needed to go through all of this and figure it out yourself because you wouldn't believe me if I told you otherwise?
It could be some of that because she is a little stubborn, but she's smart. So I don't know. But you know, we have that lore dump. Kier makes a meeting with Nate to go check in, but she is intercepted by Declan and the Druids, and then she meets Lorcan at Equinox. Which
I thought this part was funny.
Gym.
They were like, she's like, I don't know. She goes, it was a familiar name of a past time. So I guess like the Equinox Gym was around in Monster, New York, pre-Monster War, and it's turned into like this restaurant meeting place of sorts. But she was like, it was just again the small throwaway line of, that name looks familiar.
It's like, interesting.
And she was like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like one of the expensive gyms. Nobody really works out. They just go there to hook up.
Yes. Use the showers and eat.
We're going to spiral. Here's our little insights of the things we know in present day New York. I was going to say New York, like in Doctor Who.
New York.
New York.
This meeting with Lorcan is just like a lore dump kind of. He's like, Aberdash, give me your name. Like, he's a patron. Like, we are not enemies. Like, we can work together. It's all about balance. He's got berries too.
I like where she's like, dude, you tried to kidnap and kill my friend. You kidnap me, kill my friends. What in the world do you think is going to come of this? Come on. And he's like, look, I'll make amends. Like, we got off on the wrong foot. But he's very taken by her. By her. Nate was having her tracked. So, like, because the original reason, like you said, she was supposed to meet up with Nate and got intercepted. So they eventually meet up. She also goes to Graves. She's like, I'm telling you all this stuff. He's like, you escaped my cameras. And she's like, I thought they were a test. And he's like, no, you didn't. But like, okay, let's play that. And she also divulges information to him. And she's like, he goes, we can use this in our favor. Let's have you still work for me, but play him. And we can see what he knows also.
And then we also, we have to be introduced to Kingston.
Kingston is basically, would you say Graves' mentor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I would. Yes, I would. I would say Kingston is Graves' mentor, a master warlock, and they are buddies, and they get along, but not for very long. And Kingston loves art, and he takes us through the Met, which is very lovely. And he can portal and use persuasion, and that is very fun. He's also like a very old, stodgy Englishman, which is I think just amusing.
Well, he has the British humor. Like, I don't know. We both really enjoy British humor, and it's very fun, and it's very dry, and it's very witty, and I feel like that comes across very well in this.
Yeah. And also like the kind of the parts where you're just like, ooh, did you really say that, Kingston? You are an old ass man, because he's older than Graves,
yeah.
So which is 500 plus. We have with sort of this world building too, just as you said, the introduction of like vampire King Louis, and like he wanting to rule the world, and like he has the spear, and we have to go get the spear because that is in third floor, and like we're trying to do this plan to go break in because, as I said, there are a lot of plots here. There's a lot going on. So Kingston shows up because the couple from the party with the wish powder are sending a message to Graves being like, you knock that shit out, I'm threatening you. And so it's all like backdoor politics a little bit. But the thing that I really like about Kingston is that he's really adamant about keeping magic hidden. Like, that is our only purpose, is to keep magic hidden from everybody. And that is like super important. We love that. So that's fun. That's fun. Sex in the bookshelf. That's also fun, I think. I don't think we have to get into it other than we're grabbing on vines and stuff.
Because this is their second sexy time. Because we're at the third one. But the first one is at the party. The second, I don't know. There's one where there's clothes on. There's one where there's, I don't know. I guess I didn't pay attention so much of the spice in this book. Because for me, it felt very abrupt. And granted, Laura, I know we've had the conversations of write what the audience is comfortable with, and like a writing is a reflection of the times. And this is not to deny the chemistry that Kiers and Graves had. I think they had great chemistry. I just feel like sometimes it felt like some of the spicy scenes just felt like it was dumped there because and there was not like this natural progression. Also, like, take out the spice, like the plot is there, like it's very, or even a fade to black. I just don't know if it added anything. in this book specifically. That is my personal opinion. And that's not to say I don't like spice. I love me a spicy book. I don't think it made sense in some of these parts. What about you?
I agree with you. However, I can't get over the fact that Kiers got to walk barefoot through the Met. That's something that I would like the opportunity to do.
Well, and there was like nobody there.
Yeah. Totally private, self-guided tour through the Met.
And those marble floors.
Those marble floors. She's walking barefoot through that. I would love that. Why are they there? Kingston recharges his magic through art. So you have to find, and all of this to say that you have to find the thing that you love to do to recharge your magic so that you know your limits, which is all part of our training montage.
Which is also a great message of like, what's the thing that recharges you? Where's the place that recharges you? And it's like, it's just like a subtle little nod to that, especially for so many people who like myself, like I recharge in New York. Like I feel like it's most people are like, let me go relax. Let me go hiking. I go, no, I'm stressed. I get stressed during yoga. So opposite effect, but it's a nice message.
It is a nice message. I just, kind of breezing through some of this. We have our world building, 4 magical artifacts, sword, cauldron, spear, and stone. They're all real. More stories, more books. Dr. Maffei at the Covenant Hospital discovered that you are not a warlock, Kiers. No, you're not. You don't match any of these creatures. You eat magic. Your white blood cells are high. And this is something very old. Something very old. And then we're back in the library with Graves. We're talking about absorption. And Kiers is talking about how she can do slow motion. Right? And then Graves takes off his gloves, which is a very big deal for him. And he talks about how he can do soundproofing and how he like skims memories and like all of this stuff. But they start talking about how with absorption for Kiers is she needs to learn her limits so that she can safely use magic, so that she doesn't like overdose and get sick like she did when she was training with Jason when she was a kid and when she was dosed with the wish powder. And this is again where we are trying to absorb wards. We're trying to lock wards, and it's a lot of training montages, and Kiers can't do it. It's just not happening. And then meanwhile, Dr. Maffei is being chased out of her office by one of Graves' henchmen who's only there to help and steal all of the information. But she thinks he's there to murder her, which is fine. Which
also means that there was probably some history there that she thought she was like being sought after like that.
Now, here's kind of, I don't want to say it's a hot take, but we're up to the 3rd floor in the introduction of the 3rd floor, which is like a 3rd act kind of introduction storyline here. And I just don't know if we needed this ex-girlfriend line here. Yeah. I feel like it was a lot, and it added like just a lot, and like Kiers could have not had to deal with any of that and just gone on to steal the spear, and the book could have been a little bit shorter. But I see why it's in there. It's like really humanizing everybody and like purpose and like, trying to drive up this urgency. But again, there's a lot going on.
And I think that because at the beginning of the book, you have like, I had this ex-girlfriend.
She disappeared.
So we knew she didn't die, but there's this assumption that she died. And, here at ACOFAE, no head, not dead theory we like to keep with. And even her friends are like, y'all weren't even together when she got taken. Like, she's like, that doesn't mean that there's no care for her. But again, like, this is only book 1. This book is set up for book 2. Who knows how this X will be contributed into the story later. If she's not, it does feel like it's just, like you said, Laura, like what was the point of bringing it up? Especially because her relationship with her ex didn't, it didn't throw a wrench in whatever her and Graves were establishing. It wasn't like, oh, now I have to compete with this other person. What am I going to do? Like that. She's like, that was my past. You're still my future. Even though there's some ups and downs going on in the tail end of the book with her and Graves, she was still like, I gotta figure my shit out before we figure us out.
Yeah, so I think kind of in that spirit, we can just do this broadly until we kind of get to the end here, because what happens is that Kiers keeps going in to third floor to try to find an exit. Her whole thing is exits. Like, exits are the first thing that she does. It's her whole thing, and she can't find one, and so she starts trailing Walter, who is Graves's ex, like, apprentice person that he really discarded badly. And eventually, after she discovers that Tor is alive and working at the brothel, and you're alive, oh my gosh, after, like, it feels like weeks of this, but it's not, it's like days. Eventually it feels like weeks, but eventually she gets her exit. She finds the exit. She follows Walter out. So it's like, all right, Graves has an in now. All right, now we're good. Now it's all good. But here, and that's essentially what happens there. But I think the secret entrance is at 23rd and 5th Avenue.
I know this. I know what this location so well.
And I only say that because Kiers runs into Lurkin there, and he's like, I am compelled to you. You know, Graves is the villain. I am not the villain.
You don't know the whole story.
Yeah, it's like, you're different. It's like, all this kind of like, okay. And she goes home. She's like, all right, Lurkin, whatever. She goes back. And Graves comes out of his room, and she's like, I want that. I want that. But then she's looking at his V, his like cut V, like, but then her burner phone starts ringing, and then they fight. And then
he's like, what is that?
What is that? And then Nate's like, at the door, like Nate's at the door. He's like, oh my God, like, Ethan, they've been like poisoned. You have to come. And Graves is like, you've betrayed me. And essentially, cutting through a lot of this, Kiers is able to suck the magic, because it's wish powder that they were drugged with, because they're coming after Kiers. The couple from the party, Kiers is able to suck the magic out of Ethan, but everybody else dies. And she takes that on herself. She's like, I wasn't strong enough. Like, but it's the introduction of our triangle here while she's doing this, right? We love it.
Triangle's strongest shape.
Triangle's the strongest shape. So, like, when Kiers is absorbing from Ethan, Jen, it's like they're together. It's like all of them, like, the light and the darkness, like, spring is coming, lily flowers, all of this is happening. And Kiers passes the fuck out and wakes up 3 days later, and she's like, oh my God, how long has it been? Oh my God, I have to go to Graves.
That's her first thought, because he was like, if you leave here, you're going to leave like everybody else leaves. And she comes back and she's like, I was passed out. I didn't leave you, I swear. And he was like, wait, you passed out? Like, I'm glad you're okay, babe. But
like, what happened?
What happened? Because I'm concerned. There was also a common denominator here. Like, I forgive you. Holy shit. Now what?
Yeah. Now what? It's also very Beauty and the Beast. It's like, you came back.
Yeah.
I told you.
It really is.
Back.
It really, I loved that.
Yeah.
I was like, why does this feel like something I know? It's exactly the second you started saying Beauty and the Beast, I was like, this is it. Yes.
Yeah. That is exactly it. But now we are confessing our feelings. Now we are at part 6, the winter solstice, back end of this book. We're confessing our feelings. We're confessing about Jason. We are learning that Kiers' magic smells and looks a certain way.
I love a smelly magic.
Yeah, we love smelly magic. We love a little tactile kind of situation. We love the senses. This is where Kiers says, like, Graves, I want to be with you. And he's like, say less, come with me. And we're like, all right, where are we going? It's just to get dick down. It's not for any good reveal. It's not like, all right, let's go. We're doing this binding. I'm going to, like, show you this magic thing. It's like, no, come get some dick.
I'm so glad we're both on the same page, because it feels like even when they've had their sexy times and sexy moments up until this point, like, nobody was fully disclosing, I'm into this the way you're into this. It was just like happening.
It's like, ooh, okay. My note says, powerful blowjob in the bath. You are 500 years old. Okay, all right, but
well,
now...
okay, it's funny you say that because there's something like, I think it was like their first or second time that they had sex, and she's like, I'm ruined. And I was like, after the first time? Like
damn, girl.
Like, good for you? Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
We should all be so happy. We should all be so happy.
So lucky.
All right, we are in the back end of this. There's like two big things that happen now. We are sneaking into our party. It's very Throne of Glass. We're sneaking into the party. We're in our lingerie. I'm new here.
I love, you know what? People are so dumb when girls are just like, I'm new. Look how cute I am. They're like, you are cute.
Okay,
you are look good. Okay,
you are cute. This is our first glance of King Louis, and he gives his very, I will fight for us to live as we want. We are the apex predators. Ha, ha, the crowd goes wild. Take the world back. Ha, ha. We'll reclaim our dominance. Ha, ha, ha. And the crowd goes wild. It's funny. Dr. Malfi comes and she's like, you tried to kill me. And they're like, get the fuck out of here. We have other stuff going on. You're in the way. And she's like, all right, read my mind. Get the accurate blueprints so that you know how to get out of here.
Oh, you didn't try to kill me. My bad. I really fucked this up.
Yeah. Whoops. And King Louis wants blood to like make him stronger so that he can like be, like the apex monster. And Graves is like, is that real? She's like, no, that's not real. But run to the vault. Take my brain, like, directions and run to the vault.
Take my brain directions.
Take my brain directions.
Because he can read minds. So
yeah.
she's like, I'm going to visualize how to get there. And he's like, oh.
And he gets it right. So we're at the vault.
Kiers is there, like, what the fuck is going on?
But we're at the vault. Vampires are attacking. We're breaking into the vault. It's a clock. 149355. What is it? It's 34159. It's pi. Duh. Didn't you get that from? I didn't. I never tried to solve anything in books. No. All right. So we have the spear. Okay. Here we go, but we're knocked out. We wake up on the floor. The spear of Lou is there. King Louis is there. Kiers is bound. That sucks. This is the big battle, Jess. Take us through it.
This is our battle with King Louis, and he's like, you don't know what you are. I need you. You're gonna stay with me. And she's like, what? And, of course, she's having all these internal things like, nobody ever comes for me. I have to come and be there for myself. And she rescues herself like we love when FMC does.
I'll save my fucking self.
We love it. And I love, she's pulled from her trauma. She's like, at no point, and again, this is me. I have to condition myself after like a million years of being like, oh my gosh, Graves is going to save her. And I was like, I stopped myself the second I thought that. And I go, no, she's going to save herself. And I was like, because that's what we read. That's what we love. That's one of the things we love about fantasy. And she does. And she kills him. And everybody's like, oh shit, who is she?
And
which is like, and they don't want to fuck with her now either. They're like, and she was like, because he took it upon himself to feel like he was like this immortal being and leader. And she's like, you're nothing but the rest of them.
Mm-hmm. And she puts the spear directly through his chest and then decapitates him because that's how you do it.
That's how I'm like, he's dead.
And then Graves comes and it's like the slow-mo thing, right? They lock
my girl,
eyes.
she saved herself. Like, that's my girl.
He comes over and the line is like he revels in her. He kisses her
I love it.
standing
Like,
in the
and she's
blood
like
of
covered
their
in,
enemies.
Yeah, I did like this part because he's like, we're monsters together.
Yeah. He's like, my Wren. But then he's like, we got to get the fuck out of here. We got to get the fuck out of here right now. This instant. Like, shit is going down.
Love you, babe. Let's get out.
Love you, babe. We got to go. because Graves had been clearing the exit. So they're running, they run into Walter, right? And they're like, this is a god spear. And it's like, and then Kiers is like, oh my God, you're the Holly King. And he's like, and you're my Wren.
He just said that.
It's like, okay. And then we have more plot. You know, he was her dark god. This is his day. He's talking about like the manifestation of the season is like his energy, right? And like you, Kiers, enhance my power until tonight. And I never meant to fall in love with you because like you are my downfall. But like our contract like ended tonight. So it was a gamble. I was never meant to fall for you. BT dubs, Tor is free. I
feel like it's like this. It's a subplot of the subplot.
Yeah, it's like woo. Meanwhile, the spear is talking to Kiers. Is it sentient? Maybe. The sword and the spear are the two artifacts that Graves has. He's missing the cauldron and the stone. He needs to search for all four because they were thrown across the land by the gods. And he can claim them because he is of the people. Why not him? And he wants to perform a spell with them. He just says it's powerful magic and a spell. He does not say like what he wants to do, but he does say that the sword he has is the sword of truth. It's the opposite of the spear. And the spear, though, is like something is wrong. And that is when the wards are down. That's when the library doors fly open. And that is when Lorcan is in the library with Ethan and Jen held hostage.
Did you know that Lorcan was the Oak King?
I knew that Lorcan was the counterbalance of Graves. I didn't know the title.
Okay.
But like the way that they were introduced. Like,
yeah, because and Graves was always like,
Yeah.
he is my brother in every
Yeah.
sense, but like the name or whatever. Well,
Yeah.
and I remember when they were talking about the Oak King, I was like, oh, if this is the Wren and the Holly library, the next one's going to be like the Robin and the Oak King. So I didn't think we were going to get who the Oak King was till book 2.
Interesting. Oh, that was an interesting take on it. Oh my goodness. I like that, Jess. I like that. Unfortunately, that is not what happens here.
That is not what
Lorcan-
happens. We find out that Lorcan is the Oak King, and they are like to what Laura said. She's like, they're the opposites of each other, and the sword. They're like, the sword belongs to me, and Graves is like, the sword belongs to me, and you know, we also find out that there's something very new or something very old. That Kiers is something very old. She has not existed. Her kind has not existed or has not been seen in a very, very long time. She finds out she is a wisp of a wisp descendant, which is also wisps are also known as fae. And she's like, haha, the sword actually can belong to me. And now everyone's fighting over this fucking sword.
Now they're all fighting because Kiers is pissed off at Graves because he knew.
She's
since
like, you
they
fucking
went to see
knew.
Dr. Malfi.
Yeah, and you're like,
Yeah.
he's like, I had a speculation. It really wasn't confirmed. And she's like, but you knew all your speculations. And she was like, and you, Lorcan, fuck you all the way to hell.
It's like, fuck you. And then Lorcan is like, no, you don't understand. Like, Graves is the villain. He killed my 16-year-old sister with his bare hands. Like, he's the villain.
You know
And
that girl was getting whiplash. She's like, you did what?
What?
What about this?
What? She's like, and I like, eventually, she's like, everybody just shut the fuck up.
Yes.
She's like, everybody just shut the fuck up. I am going to claim the spear. I am also of the line. Shut up. I don't want anything to do with you. I don't care that it's all about Emily. Who the fuck is Emily? I'm not Emily. So shush. But then they start battling. And she's like, what the fuck, guys? And then it's like the sword, bah, bah, bah. Graves like lunges, like it's all about Emily. Like, wow, da. And then Kiers is like, Jesus Christ, guys, really? And she frees Jen and Ethan. She's like, get out of here. Like, leave. And then as they're doing that, Kiers turns around, and Lorcan's got his like death blow ready, right? He's like, "Rah!" ready to defeat Graves. And she just like slides in there, right? And she's like, ah. And then my note says that Kiers explodes with god magic as the spear and sword are combined. Boom.
Yeah, like
She goes.
I imagine like Starborn Light kind of thing, just like this.
Yep.
Whoosh.
Yep. Give it to me. It was my undoing, not yours. You have to live. You have to herald spring. There's this kiss. There's Graves' memory of his early life and wildflowers in the lake before all of this stuff happening. Kiers ends up transferring like little tendrils of like magic out to Graves. He's like, it's not enough.
Of magic,
like little, yeah, it's like little. But then Jen and Ethan come and like they hold their hand. We have our triangle, right? Like the Triforce is here, and we shoot the energy like out into the world, like bah, and that activates Ethan and Jen as a druid and a high priestess. So a druid, high priestess, and wisp together, stronger together.
When your powers combined, I am Captain Planet.
I am Captain Planet. Lorcan is like, yo, you are my people. Let's go. Ethan's like, yeah, bet I'll go with you.
He's like, I'm the only one who can train you with what you can be trained with.
Yeah, he's like, my guy. And it's like, all right. And then we have 5 days later. This is the end of the book. Kiers is alive. Kiers and Nate are driving to Colette's. They're going through her old house. They're getting all her stuff because Kiers is going traveling, right?
She's like,
Lorcan,
I need to find out more about who I am and my people. And then she goes to Graves. I'm not giving back this sword. Not yet. The least you can do is tell me where to start. And he's like, you're right. That's the least I can do. I would start here. And at first she was skeptical about it, but then she was like, Lorcan still told me to start there too. And they told me, not knowing I was talking to either one of them. So like, there has to be some sort of truth that I should start there.
And that is the Goblin Market in Dublin. He's like, it was real for me. Are you going to come back? New York is my home. And then, of course, we have our interlude with Graves in the library reminiscing, right? He's mad. He's raging. He lost these artifacts, but he knows where some of them are. Oh, Hosha Marie, all this stuff. Pulse of his heart. All of this stuff, Lorcan. Pulse of my heart. Rah.
Well, he's mad at Lorcan because Lorcan showed interest, and he's like, fuck the lore, and she's the Wren.
Oh, no.
And now I got to be up against this guy over here.
But then he gets a phone call, and the cauldron has been found. And don't you know, they need a thief to get the cauldron. So, bum, 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 that is setting up book 2.
We have another cauldron situation. I'm excited.
It was fun. I really enjoyed this unique world building experience. I like this, like, monsters, including the monsters in like this way. I really enjoyed that.
Could you survive economic collapse?
No.
Economic collapse, monster New York? You don't think so?
No. Well, okay. Here's
you could survive Thule, New York. You were like down for surviving Thule, so now I'm like.
Here's the thing. I am extremely adaptable. I know this about myself. I can adapt to almost any situation. That's fine. However, I don't wanna.
Okay. I'm like,
I don't wanna. It sounds real hard.
Life is hard. I don't want it to be hard anymore.
I don't want it to be hard. Like I feel Kiers being like, give me a shave and a shower
and $10 million.
$10 million. Like then we'll talk. Like
I mean, it was like that book that we saw pitched on socials the other day, where there was like $300 million. I don't even need to know the rest of that sentence.
Yeah. 300 million. Could we up that a little? Is that like per? Can we negotiate a little? Yeah. No, you know me. Always take the money. And I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was really fun. I enjoyed it being set in New York. I enjoyed the like markers of the city, and I really liked that it was a heist. Again, I think we were talking about when we were doing Five Broken Blades that we haven't had a heist in a while, and that heist can be very fun, and that it was. No, while there is a lot of plots going on here, but like the heist and the folklore and the love story and all of this was very interesting, and it kept my attention. And I've read this a lot, and I enjoyed it, and I'm very much looking forward to the next one because I like to see where this goes. And just now that you have put that idea in my head, who is the Robin? Who's the Robin? I want to know.
Because we know it's not. I was going to say we know it's not Wren, and we say that interchangeably because Graves has used it interchangeably at this time. We know it's not Kiers. So have we not been, what if it's Tor? I know we don't like doing theories, but maybe that's Tor. Because that would make sense why she's off and why she had a pull to her and then they're opposites. I know we don't do a lot of theories here, but I just like.
I like it.
That would make sense. We're like, oh, now that makes sense why she was still in the first book. But that being said, feel free to follow us on Instagram. We're at ACOFAE Podcast. We're also both on TikTok, ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.